Hi folks, I hope you guys can see me. Today is the 26th of June 2020 and up just a sec. Maybe now it's more straight. Okay, this is Tony Mitra and I was told by Sylvain Henry that I should go live again on Glorious and Free and stay a little longer. Apparently he thinks that uh, people like to watch me because I don't know, opinionated. Uh, and then if I stay a little longer, there'll be a lot of viewage. So I'm doing it for him. But to be honest, I don't know the value of going live. Uh, it's even if it gets a lot of viewage, what ultimately is the benefit? I have not worked out yet. I know that mostly it is preaching to the choir. People who watch it and like it and say, "Oh, I like it so much," they are more or less already convinced on the topic, which is how to save Canada from this, what's going on. So I don't know whether it has any real value other than, some people will need a lot of viewage because they are professional, they are building a career to be a spokesperson for the community. uh, they probably are launching a career or they already have a career. But for somebody like me who is not trying to make a buck out of it and not looking for a career per se, but actually just want to stop Canada sliding down, I don't know whether going live has any real value. I know I spoke about it yesterday. I did say that we need the numbers. Canadians have to stand up against tyranny. And if there is sufficient numbers, whatever they do, even just rising up and saying, get lost to the government, will work as long as there are numbers. How to get the numbers up is $1 million question. First of all, the mainstream media does not cover the truth, and it's keeping people hypnotized that there is a real reason to be afraid of COVID-19. And in Europe, 3 million people would have died if they didn't have the lockdown, and all this kind of crap is being doled out day in and day out by the mainstream media, by the politicians from every official channel, which is smothering the media basically, and the opposing views that this is not real, that there is a lot of experts that think that this is crap. Even if it was real, even if COVID-19 was real, there is no need to lock down. The lockdown doesn't solve any problem, it only makes things worse. Those views are not being showed. So people who instinctively trust the media and the politicians are convinced that this is the thing to do. So how to win them over? The thing is, you and me or other experts that know better than us why we should not have this lockdown are not allowed on the mainstream media. And bypassing the mainstream media, you're not allowed to congregate by tens of thousands or a million without a mask, without social distancing. So they have hobbled the ability of the people to pass free information and counter views or views that dissenting views or opposite ends of the opinion. uh, the government has hobbled you from passing it, so the opinion, only one-sided view goes down, which is basically what is propaganda. So the people are prevented from uh, passing this around. And I don't know whether talking live on a camera to a particular group that is frequented by those who are already converted has any real effect. There is a need to find out how to bring more people in, those who are not aware. Yes, it is absolutely necessary. How to do that? I don't know. I personally feel that that walking around in downtown areas in big cities or small cities or village or whatever, and talking to the people, or you know, showing them signs and all that, may win over a small percentage. Majority of them might think that you're nuts because the TVs are saying something else. I've been told that personally. So, so how to win them over is a very hard task, especially when the government is not allowing dissenting voices any airtime. I I think the government is completely illegal, and it needs to be resisted. But again, if there are no, if the numbers are not there, how to increase it is a question. And I would rather walk on the street, even if I influence one guy out of a thousand. In fact, I know people who do that. I know an Italian lady, Germana, who lives near me in British Columbia, and she spends a lot of time at the entrance to superstores and Costco and so on, uh, passing pamphlets. And more than that, when the letter writing campaign was going on by this group, Glorious and Free, she was taking blank letters that we helped her with, letters to specific politicians with the name of the sender blank, and even print envelopes and put them in and talk to people, everyone going in. And even if 20 people don't want to listen to her, don't have any time, they think that she's nuts, even if they spit on her, she will still do it day in and day out. If one out of the 20 takes that letter, puts her name in, her or his name in, signs it, and even if he doesn't want to mail it, if he gives the envelope back to her, she will mail it for him. So this is the kind of people that we need. There's another guy, Alyosha, from Squamish, which is way up north of Vancouver in the hills. He drives down 90 minutes or maybe 2 hours, 2-3 times a week, to downtown Vancouver, in Surrey, in different small, bigger towns than Squamish, to stand by the roadside and talk to every passerby, every passerby. And I watched him. He's a young man. It's unbelievable tenacity. There's so many people ignore him, or try to sidestep him, but then there is one, maybe two, maybe three a day that get convinced, that decides to look up the matter, that decides to stand up in protest against it. He doesn't pass any letters or something, but just telling people, don't believe this lockdown, it should be ended, and economic suicide is being taking place. No, no, all this is not necessary. The virus is not a danger to our economy. The government is a danger to our lifestyle, our way of life, our freedom, our everything. So these kind of dedicated people that spend so much time to talking to unknown people, willing to take their their frowns and their abuses or whatever, and still talk to them, winning them over one by one out of 100, two out of 100, like that. These are the kind of people who will either save us, they'll be too few. I wish I had their tenacity. I have many qualities, but I am not as good as these two examples, one a woman and one a man, of talking endlessly to strangers to win them over. I have stood with them, and I will stand with them again in awe. I take their pictures and record them, what they do. I don't know what else to do. I write to a lot of politicians. I'm hoping to get one or two or three politicians in Canada to turn around. Uh, I have my own views on democracy, and I will tell you what I feel. By the way, I don't have the camera on facing me, so I don't know what's going on the camera. I have the camera facing front side and not selfie mode, because the selfie mode twists the pictures left to right, and I don't like that. If there is any text, it doesn't show properly. So I like it face to face, although I don't see it. So the thing is about democracy, you know, in my view, the most important stakeholder in a democracy is the citizen, not the politician, not the prime minister or the president. You and I are the most important stakeholder. Democracy can only survive if the citizens are, in essence, all of them are activists, perpetually so, not just on Saturdays or only on 1 month of the year or only certain period of the time. No, it's it starts, your duty starts the day you are an adult and it ends the day you die. And throughout this period, your job doesn't involve just once in 4 or 5 years casting your ballot into a box. No, your job is to keep a hawk eye on the politicians that you hired, people hired as their servant, temporary servants, public servants, to watch them so that they don't swindle you and they don't betray you. Their job is to work to your benefit and interest. And if they don't know what you want, their job is to ask you, not pretend they know you, know what you want, and then sign a bill or vote on a bill based on what he or she thinks is best or what the party leader thinks. There's another thing about the party leader. Have you read the constitution? I know Canada doesn't have a proper constitution. It has bits and pieces of, but if you read all those, if you read single document constitutions like the US Constitution, I was born in India, I've read the Indian Constitution as well. And I was living in USA, I've read the US Constitution as well. And so I've read the duties of the elected parliamentarians in Canada. In fact, when they take oath, you can read the text of the oath. What do they swear on? I'll tell you what. All these politicians are obliged to do only two things, or ensure that whatever they do covers two things. One, they will follow the Constitution and not do anything that's against the Constitution. They will not do anything unconstitutional. That's one. And what's the second one? They will follow the wish of the constituents that voted them in. There is no room and no mention of a party leader. No Liberal MP is supposed to follow Justin Trudeau in voting any bill. None. There's no mention anywhere. Especially when it comes to voting on a bill where your vote is contrary, opposite to the wish of the constituents, you are actually breaking your oath. Who is to ensure that? Not Justin Trudeau. In fact, who is Justin Trudeau? Who is Elizabeth May? Who is Jagmeet Singh? They're nothing. They're just MPs. Other parliamentarians' job is not to follow them at all. The entire party system is not in the Constitution. Not there. There should be, for all practical purposes, there should be no parties. Parties should be maybe banned, Everyone should be an independent and his only allegiance should be, number one, the Constitution, number two, my constituent voters. That's it. That's it. So, what are we to do? I feel that every citizen needs to be an activist forever, as long as you're adult and able to voice your opinion, able to write, able to watch what is going on. Your duty is to be vigilant that your politician does not cheat you. Democracy may be the best system so far invented by mankind. I do not necessarily disagree with that. But it takes a heavy price to make it work. And that heavy price is it demands a lot of involvement from the citizens throughout their lives to make sure that the politicians do not hijack democracy, the politicians do not corrupt democracy, because that is the nature of the beast. Justin Trudeau will be corrupted because we are allowing him to go be influenced by all kinds of shady, non-Canadian people with a lot of money or some kind of influence somewhere. Who the hell are they? They are not Canadian. He's got no duty, but we are allowing him. We, you and me. Otherwise, Justin Trudeau is nothing. Neither is Jagmeet Singh or Elizabeth May or whoever else is leader of whichever party, So, how to be a diligent activist is something we should talk about. The Unify the People.ca talk about new constitution. I'll tell you something else. Why do we need the MPs anymore? Think about it. When democracy was just being experimented with and there was no model to follow, those stalwarts of that time realized that to execute the wish of the people in a government, it is not practical for the entire population of the country to gather every day somewhere or the other and raise hands and say, we want this bill, we do not want that. It is not practical everybody to come somewhere. The country is so big, they cannot come together. It is just not practical. They have to do their work also. So therefore, the next best thing was to elect somebody out of every 100,000 people, 200,000 people, million people, one representative from each place, and this smaller number of guys now will draw a salary for which the citizenry have to cough up from their own income, and these guys will represent their wish into a parliament building with less number of people representing the entire population. This system was done for practicality reason because there was no other way that time. But what's the situation now? In Canada, practically everybody has internet. They watch movies. You're watching live video on a group in Facebook and so on. Everybody has something. Those who do not have, they can still go to a kiosk, an internet kiosk, or any place, and government can set up such places that they can easily go register themselves. Why I'm saying this is that it is possible today, sitting at your home, personally, for you to vote on every bill. You don't need that middleman, that MP that betrays you. You do not need it anymore. We can even have laws that if somebody perpetually absentees himself from all the bills and a certain percentage, unless you vote at least half of the bills, you will have to pay more tax because you're shirking your duty. Part of the duty is to be a diligent citizen. You don't need MPs. So write the constitution that MPs are secondary. They're not necessary anymore. Sack the whole lot of them because they betray you anyway. I mean, you have a new bill, you need to understand. You can say, oh, we don't understand, the bills are... Do you think the MPs understand the bills? Have you read how they're passed? Sometimes they're given a bill 2,000 pages long and they're given to read through and agree or disagree in 2 days time, 3 days time. They don't have time to read it. Nobody reads it. What do? They ask the leader, what should I do? Okay, yes, I sign yes. That's how bills are passed. That bloody bill, the heading may be anything, should we have big highways from here to there? But inside that, page after page, all kinds of other things are slipped in. So if you sign it, you will not only get that highway, you get all other things which you don't really need, but people have, the corrupt system has added them in. Even that road, whether you really need that highway there or not, it's more influenced by the construction company because they want your money to make that highway, whether you actually need it. It is cutting through forest, it is destroying 5 million trees. Who cares? So if you were to sign on it, you will ask these questions, or at least most of you will ask these questions, and some consensus will arrive. And that's how the bills are made. Okay, we will make the road, but you will have to employ local people. The road will not have to be bloody 8 lanes wide. It can 3 lanes is enough for now. And every tree you cut down, you will have to first replace it. Whoever the construction, that is part of the deal. Every tree you cut down, you have to plant another tree next to it, and number of trees cannot go down. Blah blah blah, many things. So this is possible. This is very, very possible, provided the people are willing to stand up for their duty and this blasted middlemen. So start a movement, sack the MPs. We do not need this middlemen anymore. They are destroying our democracy. We do not need a leader. Why do you need Justin Trudeau or any prime minister? Tell me why. Because in the current system, a party has to be in charge by having majority. But that wasn't the first government in US. They had no parties. Do you know that there were no Republican, Democrat, and all kinds of things? The people contested to be president, they were just ordinary, you can say, independents. From the government, every bill was voted on not on party lines. There was no such thing on party lines. Voted on its merit. So anyway, I'm a cantankerous man. I have a thinking brain. Everybody has a thinking brain. You employ it in some. I have questioned the need for members of parliament for a long time. Internet came to be so prevalent, especially in the Western countries where almost everybody has more than one. They have a computer, they have a handphone, they have all kinds of gadgets. They can get onto internet, endless number of things. The government also allows you to get online in government portals and do a lot of things already. Most people pay bills on internet, online. They don't go to the bank anymore. They don't cut checks and put stamps on them and mail them. They don't do that anymore. They do a lot of things, $1 million worth of transactions without going anywhere. Why do we have to depend on these blinking members of parliament whose primary job is to betray you? I mean, they don't ask you. I'll tell you one example. My MP, Carla Qualtrough, she's a federal minister. She is a Liberal Party. I have met her personally a number of times in public events, and also I have had an interview with her. She granted me an interview, and I went there with her, with a delegate of scientists and others for a long time, and gave her a petition with 24,000 signatures to take to Trudeau to demand that he discloses safety documents on some pesticides, glyphosate and Roundup, that was most used to poison on Canadian agriculture, and they're still hiding the safety reports. People do not know if it is safe. I know it is not safe, and that the safety reports are fraudulent, but they will not release it. Although not releasing it illegal, they still will not release it. I gave it to her, and she went there, and she was asked to in Ottawa to shut up and not rock the boat. And anyway, my point is, why do we need a Carla Qualtrough at all? She passed a bill about labeling of GMOs. That was a bill that came to Parliament some years ago. Whether food packaging should contain the mention whether it has genetically modified organism or not. Now, this is what I think. I don't like GMOs. I know that I don't want them, and for many reasons, I won't get into it. But that's not the point. When you mention so many things on the packages, how much of this is there, how much is that is there, blah, 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 blah. What the hell is the problem to add one more thing, whether it is genetically modified? It's a major change to the food and not minor. And it is genetic modification which may or may not affect you. And why don't you just mention it? That's it. If people love GMO, they will eat it. They don't like GMO, they can say they reject it. No. She voted no. The bill was defeated. So genetically modified organisms need not be labeled. You will buy it without knowing it is GMO. And what is the logic behind it? There is no logic. She just voted like this because Trudeau and the party decided they will do so because they are in bed with that goddamn Monsanto and Bayer and all these corporations that basically poison you and make money. They're not even Canadian corporations. Now the thing is, rightfully speaking, any person, whether you like GMO, you do not like GMO, should not have any objection to the labeling. You like GMO, you want to know which ones are GMO, and I only want to eat it. You don't like GMO, you want to know which ones are GMO, so you can avoid buying them. So who would not want this labeling? Carla Qualtrough did not want to know the views of the people of Delta. She only asked the big boss, and she voted against it. I wrote her a stinking letter. She invites people for debates in the hall time to time on this issue and that issue. How come you did not ask me about this? You went and voted based on whatever your leader or whoever else the corporations told you to, and you did not bother to ask me. You asked me for all kinds of things. How the hell you did not bother to ask me? Why should I not be working from now till the end of the cycle to ensure that whoever wins, you do not win, because you do not represent the people. You represent some interest other than the people. So why should I not be working for one goal only, that you do not win? Anybody else, anybody, even a lamppost might be better, because it might not be intelligent enough to follow a bloody leader. So I was outraged, and she actually could make out that I was outraged, and she did respond that I will answer your question in full sum in a month's time, and then she didn't bother to answer. So basically, I'm ranting because a lot of things are not all right, and although members of parliament or senators or whatever you want to call it, they might have been practical, but today they have become a major impediment for the proper functioning of democracy. And today every bill can easily become a referendum, nationwide referendum, literally every bill. Many senators don't vote, they are not present. Well, many citizens may not vote because they do not understand it, but if you put the laws correctly, that if you do not vote in too many votes, you will have to pay a penalty of that, they will start voting. And before they start voting, they'll start checking up. What should they do? Maybe they'll ask their friend, what should I do? Or maybe they'll look up somewhere. But there's time given. People start getting interested. When you're involved, naturally your interest grows. They will include those kind of things in their social gatherings and talk, okay, how about that bill about, smoking, allowing smoking or marijuana or, drugs or whatever the case is, illegal immigrants, legal immigrants, uh, freedom of expression or religious freedom, and whether we should allow this or that. This becomes part of your daily topic, which is good because it involves your life and your future and the future of the Canada. Why should they not be part of your discussion? Of course, you can discuss movies and what, some, I don't know who are the actors in Hollywood, what he's acting on or what she's doing, or who are the popular singers and band players and all. Yeah, you do all that, and you also do things that are relevant for the country because part of your discussion. What's wrong with it? So basically, we have to think that it's not just we have come to the crisis, which can be used to overhaul the system and not just write a new constitution and but the specifics. We don't need, as far as I can see, we don't need to pay fat salaries to these goddamn members of parliament. They're irrelevant. They're like a dinosaur. They have no purpose anymore. Anyway, you may not like my opinion, but Silva Henry asked for it, and he thought that I have some sort of a magic that, if I talk, people like it and it'll increase their viewage and all. Once again, what's the purpose of that? I don't know. Whether it really helps Canada, I don't know. But here I am, I think my second effort to make a proper going live, and I can't even see myself in the camera. I hope I'm showing up, and I hope it is live, and I hope it is of some use. So this is Tony Mitra signing out. Over and out.